Welcome back, you guys. We're doing it. We're doing episode 2. Another eventful, great evening in the Champions League. Bayern and Real scoring 10 goals past each other over two legs. Two more sending offs, which is only appropriate for the second episode of the Sent Off podcast. Arsenal grind their way into the semi-final, I should say, of the Champions League, but today was explosive in Munich. Today was probably like the game of the season, according to me, in the Champions League, in any league, because this was just fun to watch. This was two teams who just threw everything at it to try and get the win. Real had more to do today. They were 2-1 down from the first leg. I kind of felt in my preview yesterday that they're not the same Real Madrid from a few years ago who can find those last minute wins in the Champions League, who can defy all odds in the Champions League, beat Manchester City, beat Bayern Munich, beat anyone who is in front of them and get the win. I don't think I was wrong, but I was really underestimating Real Madrid and maybe Arbeloa to a certain extent and his tactics because they came out of the gates all guns blazing. These guys had no fear because when you are left in one competition in Europe, in any league, you're going to go for it. And Real Madrid just pushed everything to try and get the win today. They got lucky. They absolutely got lucky with Manuel Neuer, who went from hero in the first leg, keeping Real Madrid out, keeping Kylian Mbappe, keeping Vinicius out, to, I don't know, making a Raya-esque mistake in the, well, opening 30 seconds of this game, because that was an atrocious pass off the back, giving it right to Arda Güler, who from range spikes it home 1-0 to Real Madrid within 31 seconds of this game, putting it 2-2 on aggregate, giving them a way back into this game. And that was just a sign of things to come. That first 30 seconds were just eventful. Extrapolate that over 90 minutes, and you have an epic Champions League game that happens. Pavlovic, 6 minutes in, puts Bayern Munich back on level terms. We have goals by Harry Kane. We have another amazing Arda Güler free kick in the first half before Kylian Mbappe races ahead of Dio Upamecano to be at the end of Vinicius's pass to make it 3-2 on the night, 4-4 on aggregate at the end of the first half. All of this while some 1,000 miles away in North London, Arsenal and Sporting are just grinding it out. It just seems like crazy that these two games happened in the same competition because, really, Arsenal Sporting wasn't fun to watch. But let's stick with Real Bayern Munich because in the second half, things kind of changed. Real Madrid brought this swagger to this game, brought this excitement to the game, and Bayern Munich, to give them credit, weren't taking this lying down. Bayern Munich are one of the best attacking sides in Europe this season. They really brought it. They were there to give a response to Real Madrid at every single moment. And in the second half, they made the change. To give Company credit, he made the change that essentially neutralized Real Madrid in the second half because it was kind of I wouldn't say stale, but like neither side could make anything happen for 40 odd minutes in the second half. Real Madrid threw everything at Bayern Munich. They tried to hit them on the transition. On their part, they kind of sat back and sat in a low block and kind of tried to cut off the spaces so Bayern Munich couldn't play through them. It was just a lot of well, I would say like calculated chess from both sides to try and break the deadlock. Ultimately, this game hinged on a Camavinga red card. And at the Sent Off podcast, we celebrate his sending off Camavinga with probably one of, to be very fair, like a very light sending off. Like this shouldn't have been a second yellow card, but hey, that's the Champions League. Here are the stakes that you're playing with. He does get two successive yellow cards within like 8-10 minutes of each other, gets sent off. And you can see that that's the moment Bayern Munich were waiting for. They wanted one moment, one opportunity to try and get at Real Madrid in the second half, to break down their block, to find the space and score the goal. And Camavinga getting sent off gave them that space. Lucky for them, it was in the 88th minute. A goal at that minute for any side would have won it. And for Bayern Munich, they won it with a Luis Diaz, a great curl shot from outside of the box. It took a deflection on its way in, but it did its job. That was enough. Or should I say, we thought that was enough. Because moments later, Michael Olise, man of the match, pops up with what can only be described as a casual banger. A casually taken shot that ripped the top left corner of the goal. That was just so coolly done. And Michael Olise has been the standout European player for me. He has been so good at Bayern Munich, and the way they play has just allowed him to be himself, has allowed him to express himself. And good for him, because that was just scintillating. And you could see Real Madrid were defeated. You could see like they really took it harshly. They thought, just given the way they played, kind of like Barcelona the night before, they'd done enough to find a way back into the game. And Arda Güller's reaction at full time, who also got sent off. And again, we should have confetti for this, but we're not the Mark Goldbridge podcast. We don't have that budget to do it. But Arda Güler getting sent off was just a sign of how Real Madrid kind of lost their nerve, kind of lost the plot in this game. They gave everything that they could in attack. They just didn't have that have that extra, I should say, left in the tank to take it to full time, to take it to extra time. I also feel like contrasting Real Madrid and Bayern Munich over these two legs. Both sides, like we've said, excellent in attack. And I don't think you could fault the forward lines of these teams for what they brought at all. 72 shots in 180 minutes between these two sides. They went at it. There was no reservation there. Kind of looking at the structure, Bayern Munich had a leader in Harry Kane. Real Madrid doesn't seem like they have a leader in their side at all. A moment that stood out to me was in the second half of this game. Vinicius is driving in. Jude is calling for the ball. He doesn't get it. I think Vinicius goes all the way down to the left-hand side touchline and loses the ball. And you could see like that slight altercation on the pitch between him and Jude Bellingham, asking him, what do you want me to do? Well, a leader in that situation would have kind of made sure that tempers aren't flaring within this side, would have kind of made sure they kept their composure. When Camavinga is on a yellow already, would have told him, hey, don't lose your head with essentially less than 2 minutes left to go in this game. We are almost there. We can take it to extra time. We can take it to penalties. We can win it there. But don't try to just be crazy. Don't try to be a hero and try to do something to try and win it right now. We can't let go of this advantage. You are away from home and you are winning in this instance. You have to be disciplined about that. I mean, what else is there to say? Like, Bayern Munich have been amazing in the Champions League. They deserve their spot in the semi-final. A lot of folks would have called a Bayern Munich PSG semi-final because they are the two standout teams on that side of the draw. Real Madrid tried their best. Unfortunately, this is the first time in, I want to say, like 60 years was the stat. Like, they have gone 2 seasons without a single trophy. They're going to lose La Liga to Barcelona. They're out of Copa del Rey. And now they're not going to win the Champions League, their tournament. They're not going to win that trophy either. For Bayern Munich, it is PSG next, and this is going to be a banger of a game. This is going to be the. This should be a Champions League final. The way these two teams are playing, it's going to be explosive. Bayern Munich, PSG, those two attacking front lines going at each other. Can they top 72 shots over 180 minutes? I sure think they can. For me, if I have to make a prediction right now, I'm going to give PSG the slight edge. Both teams amazing in attack, 10 on 10 attacking sides. I think PSG just have that little bit extra in midfield with Vitinha, with Neves. I feel their backline is slightly better than Bayern Munich's as well. Bayern Munich, you can hit them on the counter, you can hit them on the transition. They do give you opportunities, as Real Madrid showed us today. Neuer isn't as impervious as we thought he would be last week after the display that he put on there. He recovered today. That shows great mentality, and he's a veteran goalkeeper. But you can see that he has a mistake in him, and with Dembele, with Kvaratskhelia, with Doué, with Barcola, I think they are there for the taking. So my prediction is going to be that PSG just barely edge Bayern Munich in the semi-final. There's going to be goals for sure, but I think PSG may just have that one extra goal that takes them to the final. Well, after this exciting game, time to turn to things that aren't as exciting. Which is Arsenal versus Sporting. Arsenal taking a 1-goal advantage back to the Emirates. This time last week, we thought there's a semblance of some form. We're grinding it out. We're recovering from a bad League Cup, from a bad Southampton game. We're going to improve. But then Bournemouth was a harsh shove down back to reality. And here we are trying to pick up the pieces again before an even more consequential, important game on the weekend. And today, Arsenal got the result. They're in the semi-finals of the Champions League. They didn't get the performance that they needed. And for me, they showed signs. Like if you'd only watched 2 Arsenal games in your entire life, which is the Bournemouth game from the weekend and then the Sporting game today. First of all, I apologize that you have had such a terrible run of games to watch. Also, probably a bad time to start becoming an Arsenal fan. Anyway, you would say this game was better than the Bournemouth game, but it's a relative better than the Bournemouth game. Was this a good game? No. Was it better than Bournemouth? Sure. Because Arsenal showed things, showed signs, showed elements of their play that they didn't show against Bournemouth on the same pitch in the same stadium. Today they showed that they can try and control it. They can be more progressive with their passing. They can create some tempo in the game. And I feel especially in the first 20 minutes of this game, they really showed that. I felt Eze was popping up more on the right-hand side, kind of giving Mascara and Noni Madueke some cover. It felt like what Odegaard used to do with Saka and Timber or Ben White on that right-hand side. It felt like those combinations were forming. And truly, Eze was the standout player, especially in the first half of this game. There were a lot of creative flicks, a lot of quick passes to get the game moving. But then we saw Arsenal kind of succumb back into familiar territory. Misplaced passes, David Raya mistakes, and just a toothless attack. I think between Martinelli, Noni Madueke, and Gyökeres, who were also our front line last weekend against Bournemouth, I think this front three had a combined of 3 passes to one another in this game. And that's just a disjointed front line. That's just like a divorced front line. They want nothing to do with each other. They don't want to talk to each other. And I feel like if Arsenal need to make an attacking impact, especially in a situation where you're telling me Odegaard's out for a while, you're telling me Saka's out for a while, you're telling me Jurrien Timber's out for a while, I think you need Leandro Trossard in this side. I think you need Eze for sure playing in this side. Nani Madueke unfortunately came off injured today. We don't know how bad that injury is, but maybe having Max Dauman there may be a breath of fresh air because we need to do something differently because this is not working for Arsenal. Yes, the tempo was there, progressive passing was there. David Raya wasn't our top passer in this game, and those are small wins we'll take with us into the Manchester City game. But between Manchester City and the end of the season, I think this has shown us that it's not going to be 2024 end of season. It's not going to be Arsenal blitzing opponents all the way to the final day of the season. I think it's going to be a messy grind. It's going to be a messy, hard to watch grind for the remaining 6 Premier League games and whatever, 2 or 3 Champions League games that we do have. To give Arsenal more credit than Sporting didn't create anything. The Katamo opportunity where it came off the post, where he kind of like shinned it from an Araujo cross, was the best opportunity that Sporting created. So this is not to say that Arsenal negated Sporting, or like were kind of holding on. Sporting didn't do anything of note. Like the commentator had this like line in the last 10-ish minutes of this game where he was talking about how Sporting can really go for it now. But they weren't going for it at any point in this game. Trincao had a shot that went wide. And Katamo. That was the 2 clear opportunities that Sporting put together. As bad as Victor Gyökeres was, Luis Suarez was just as bad. Luis Suarez didn't create anything for Sporting either. And ultimately, like, this was just the dynamic that we had to play. Were we disciplined? Yes. Did we keep 2 clean sheets when we really need 2 clean sheets? Yes. But did we do more than that? No. And Rice's expression at the end of the game kind of gave it away. Like in his post-match press conference, or like the interviews that he was doing at the side of the pitch, he was talking about how we're not scared of anybody. If we want to be in this position and we want to win things, we have to go out and grind those results. We'll play the way we have to play. We don't care about the pundits. We don't care about anyone else. It's just about what the manager thinks and what the player thinks. And I think that is the right answer. That is an honest answer. That is an acceptance that we know that we have to find a way to play when things aren't going our way. If you have to be real, in seasons gone by, we would have lost this game. In seasons gone by, if we were in a bad run of form, we would have lost in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. We would have conceded some crazy goal to Sporting, and we'd be out. But there's something to be said about when this team really focuses and puts their mind to it, they come away with the result. And today we came away with the result. And that's the only important thing that we can take away from this game. The other other notes aren't at all exciting. It's to say we created just over 1xG over 2 games, which I think we'll take it if it's 1 goal more than Sporting has. We have Atletico Madrid in the semi-final of the Champions League. Honestly, given the way we're playing, I'm happy we sit on this side of the draw. I'm happy that we have Atletico Madrid and not PSG or Bayern Munich over 2 legs, because it just feels wrong. It feels bad. It feels like we would get battered by those 2 teams over 2 legs. A one-off game, if we make the final, everything's possible. But over 2 legs, not saying Atletico's an easy game, but that's the game that you want. That's the game that you want to play. And with Atletico Madrid, it's a team that we've beaten this season already. We beat them in the league stage. I think they are there for the taking. If we, put on a performance like we did back in, November when we played them, it's saying a lot. It's asking a lot from Arsenal to play that way again. We don't have the same attacking fluidity, but it is a team that both teams will rely on defensive structures. Both teams will rely on trying to hit each other on the transition. It's going to be an interesting game. And the fact that we have 2 weeks before we play the first leg is maybe another shred of sunlight where we may have a few players back going into that game. And hopefully, knock on wood, we're still in the Premier League race and we're still fighting on two fronts, because I think psychologically that's really important as well. I'm very biased in this pick, in this prediction, who's going to move forward between Arsenal and Atletico Madrid. I'm going to go with Arsenal in the final. A PSG Arsenal final is what I am calling for. Let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments below. Let me know what your predictions are. Let me know what were the moments of this game. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also listen to this in podcast form on your favorite podcast player. So subscribe to this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Catch you in the next one.